No.
Yeah.
No, did not.
Okay, real quick here, I'm gonna get you guys working on this stuff, but our very quick review for today involves this. Okay, I wanna look at a couple transformations. I wanna remind you first though about kind of what's going on, deadlines and things. Remember, don't forget, it's on the calendar, but don't forget, what are we doing Monday?
Test.
We're gonna do our first kind of short test over everything up through solving absolute value, equations and inequalities, right? The other stuff will come later. In fact, I wanna look at, like the stuff I'm talking about today is not gonna be until the second test. But there's some questions that keep popping up on this assignment, so I wanna just take a quick look at it. Okay, what I wanna look at today, so the review's due Sunday night. You wanna really be making sure, if I were you, I'd like to have that done maybe before I leave school on Friday, okay? Get all your questions answered. Okay, let's look at this. I wanna know, how could I accomplish this? If this is a graph of the function f of x, right here. So that's f of x. Just that, we don't care what that equation would be that would give us that. We just know that that's f of x. How could I create g of x, which is right here? Okay, what have I done to transform f of x into g of x? Okay, what's one thing I've done?
Over 5.
Yeah, I've scooted it over to the right by 5. So there's one thing. Let's label that. So we did this. We went plus 5 to the right. Okay, what else did we do?
Up 1.
We went up 1. Okay, so we did that. Okay. So how can I say that in terms of a function? If I wanted to define g of x in terms of f of x, how am I tweaking or changing f of x? How do I move to the right by 5? Yeah. Okay, so I've got f of x minus 5. Okay, that's how we did the orange thing, right? Scoot right. How do I scoot up 1? Plus 1. That's it. Right?
We have to put the x in for the end.
Yeah, you do. You have to, because we don't know what that function is, what the function f is. We just know that it looks like that, but regardless of what that function is, this is going to move it in the way that we want it to. Okay? Make sense? Let's try something different. Same idea. Okay, this time we're going to start off here. 2 more. I'm going to make this a little tougher. This time we're going to, let's see. I want to end up right there. Okay, now this one is going to take 3 maneuvers instead of 2. Can we first of all identify what those maneuvers might be? Dan, why don't you put that away, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so one thing I've got to do is reflect over the x-axis, right? Okay, do I need to do that first? Okay. What could I do first? Yeah, I could move right how far? 2? So I could do this. I could go over 2, then what? Down 1, okay? And then what? Now I gotta reflect, don't I? Because when I move down 1, at that point, aren't I just to like right here? There's my new function. It's just, I've just scooted the v over. Now I've got to reflect that whole thing over the x-axis to push it down there and turn it upside down. Agreed? Okay? So how am I going to say those 3 things? And we got to do those in order now. So here is, once again, here is f of x. G of x equals what? How do I do the first thing?
F next to x in parentheses minus 2.
Okay, so f of x minus 2. Whoops, I want to color code that so we can. So that's orange, isn't it? I'm saying the right slide is orange. Okay, now what? We went went down 1, how did we do that? Okay, we subtracted 1, and then the last step was, I don't know that's gonna be purple. What's the last step? How do I flip that whole thing? What do I do to flip a function? Over the x-axis. Reflect it. Back there, yes, sir.
Isn't it, you put a negative sign in front of it?
Okay, so I could do this, right? Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay, almost. There's one mistake there.
I think
Ah, okay, good. Now look, if I follow order of operations here, because we always have to follow order of operations, whatever we put up there has to obey order of operations. Does it? Well, let's do order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So first, parentheses. Yeah, we have some parentheses. So first I do this, right? I move to the left, or to the right by 2. Check, that worked. Okay. Next I do no exponents. Next I do multiply, divide. Okay, well, putting a -1 out front just means that I'm multiplying by -1. So the next thing I would do is reflect this over the x-axis. Is that right? No, it's not going to work, is it? If I move this thing over and reflect it over the x-axis, it's going to end up being right there, isn't it? It's gone from there clear down to there. Agreed? And then the last step would be add, subtract. I would just subtract 1, which would move this down 1 more. And so my final destination would end up being right there instead of right there. Because I changed the order around, I got a different result. See that? So how do I have to change this again? I heard it over here. Noah, what were you suggesting?
Put in parentheses the.
Okay, I gotta do that, don't I? Now the order of operations do what we want. Now we go left 2 first, then we subtract 1, so we go down, because we're still inside parentheses, and then finally we multiply the whole thing by -1 to flip it. See the difference? That's kind of tricky, okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, 205.